Now after every Android phone I finish reviewing, this is the one that I always go back to. Yep, the Nothing Phone 4a Pro, not even the flagship phone 3, it is this one. And there are many reasons why, but I'm not gonna pretend that this phone is perfect. Because some of the decisions that Nothing made here are gonna be having you and me scratching our heads. So why do I keep coming back to this? Well, watch first and buy smart. So for context, 4 months. That is how long the Nothing Phone 4a Pro has been in my life. And I use the word life very loosely because my job puts a new phone in my hands almost every other week, and after reviewing every Android phone that I finish reviewing and I put that down, this is the one that I always pick back up. So let me walk through what exactly 4 months of daily use actually looks like, especially going back and forth between different Android phones. So what actually held up, what changed, and a couple things that completely changed my mind. Now let's start with the physical condition. Now I purposely made the choice to go completely caseless the entire time because of the cold aluminum unibody is one of the best things about holding this phone. And that feeling completely disappears once I wrap this with a case, right? So I did not want that. So 4 months later, no case, and the aluminum body still looks great with no visible wear at the back panel. Now for a phone that I've been picking up and putting down every single day, that was more than a pleasant surprise. But a display, however, is a different story because there are micro scratches that started to show up. Now they are not dramatic, but they are there. Now I have to call this out because Nothing is actively marketing these phones as devices that you should place them face down, right? To enjoy the glyph lighting from the back. So if that's the experience that you're designing for Nothing, then the display protection really needs to match the use case, right? But thankfully, there is a screen protector which comes out of the box. But here's a couple things of the display related things that worth revisiting from earlier. Now, firstly, the fingerprint scanner, which sits a little low on the display that I complained about when I was first using this phone. Now, 4 months later, the muscle memory has completely sought that out. So I do not even think about it anymore. So if that was a concern going into this phone, well, it fixes it faster than you expect. Then the adaptive brightness was something that also bothered me earlier on, where it was a little too aggressive where it dims super quickly, and I'm glad to say that that also has been slightly improved. Not fully fixed, but it has noticeably become better than before. And that is also because of the updates. Now speaking of updates, Nothing has also pushed through several updates over these past 4 months. Nothing of them were a headline announcement, no dramatic redesigns, no big feature drops, and honestly, no news is good news because the phone stayed stable throughout the last 4 months. Next is the software, because this is one of the biggest reasons why I come back to this phone all the time, because Nothing OS stays close to stock Android, which is clean, fast, and not cluttered with features that you never want to use. But what has really grown on me significantly for the past 4 months is the essential space, where when I first used it, I really appreciated that idea, and I now actually rely on it. So the more you work on it, the more it earns its place, where you can just capture a screenshot, a voice note, or anything on your screen, and the AI pulls out the useful details and organizes everything for you later. And that compounds in value the longer you use it. So it is one of those features that sounds like a bullet point on a spec sheet until it becomes part of your daily use. Now, if you're finding this video helpful so far, do give this video a nice big thumbs up to tell the YouTube algorithm that this video is good for you, and a subscription would be extra sweet too. So thank you, and thank you very much in advance. Now, as for the phone's performance, 4 months in, it is still smooth for everyday use. No general slowdowns, app launches cleanly, and multitasking does not stutter. But there's one specific situation worth flagging, where after recording video for an extended stretch of time, when I stopped recording, there was a bit of a delay before the phone felt fully responsive again. Now, it happened a couple of times, only after long recording sessions as mentioned earlier. So when it comes to daily usage, you won't run into this problem at all. Now, as for cameras, my overall position has not shifted much from 4 months ago. But one thing that has really made the biggest difference to how I really enjoyed shooting on this phone is the Fuji camera LUT preset. Set it as the default and it will be the best thing that you've ever gotten out of this phone, and for me as well, consistently for over 4 months. And what I also really appreciate is Nothing's presets, because it looks like someone actually thought about them properly, because other phones just pile pile on color filters and just call it a feature, and photos end up looking worse than the original. But when it comes to Nothing's preset on the camera, it actually adds something that are purely tasteful. Now on portrait mode, specifically on the 80mm focal length, there was a color shift issue that I flagged earlier. Well, after the latest updates, there's no issue at all. So other than that, every other points mentioned in my 2-month review for the cameras remain the same. So do check out my video of that, where I went in depth on the camera performance of that video over here. Yeah, it's here. Next is this, the Glyph Matrix, and I'm going to be completely straight with you. I still do not use it. I really want to use it, but I just do not use it. Not because the features are bad, because they are not. But there are certain things that I still do not feel like I really have to use it. Things like the volume indicator and the timer and all. That would be great for people who always use their phone face down, where it is a very thoughtful system that is slowly becoming more useful than gimmicky. But I'm not a face down phone person, right? And after 4 months of trying to use this particular screen at the back, the habits just never form. And this whole thing is a bit of an irony here, right? Because nothing is pushing the phone as a face down experience, but the core of what makes this phone different and great is the fact that it has a very good software. So, good software or Glyph Matrix? So yeah. But the essential key though, that was a totally different story. Now in my reviews of the Nothing phone and the CMF phones, I actually disabled this button because the accidental trigger was too high and too annoying when it was not placed over here. So I went into this phone expecting to do the same thing. Well, 4 months later, the button is on and I still use it because of its new position on the left hand side, sitting higher up of the frame. So it removes the exact reason why I was turning it off in the first place. So there's no accidental presses, and because of that, frustration was gone. I actually gave it a proper chance. So I use it more than I expected to. So that is one hardware decision that changed everything for me personally. However, the essential voice on the other hand, well, it works, but the accuracy isn't consistent enough to be a real part of my daily workflow. Now the concept is good, but the execution has still room to grow. And although it's a paid app, but I rather use Whisper Flow instead. Now as for battery, what I can tell you from 4 months of real use is that it feels exactly the same as month number 1, where the screen on time has not dropped. Battery life has also not degraded noticeably, which happens to a lot of smartphones, especially flagships. Now on heavy days, I still get enough battery life at the end of the day, but when it comes to easier days, I get at least 2 days still on the table while I'm not running things like navigations throughout. Now for a phone for this price, holding up like this for 4 months, that is exactly what you and I want to see. Now if you want a written version of this video, we do have one at our website at www.adamlobo.tv. Links to the website will be down below, where we also have some daily tech tips and daily tech news over there too. So in conclusion, everything mentioned earlier only makes sense if this phone is actually worth coming back to. And after 4 months of putting this down and every other Android phone that I review and picking this up back again every single time, that answer has not changed. Because the aluminum build held better than I expected, going caseless, essential space has grown into something that earns its place the more you use it, and the essential key has converted me completely, and the battery life has been holding very well. And as mentioned many times in my past reviews, this Nothing OS is still one of the best and cleanest Android experience that you can get at this price. Is it perfect? No, the essential voice has still a long way to go, and if you're not a face down person, the Glyph Matrix is going to be staying mostly untouched. But for the best Android experience without breaking the bank, this is not nothing. This is actually a lot. As for the Nothing Phone 4B though, that is a story for another video.